This is session 90. Who would like to give
Shit.
a recap?
Man, I don't even remember anymore.
We were surrounded by I think we were surrounded by hostile dragonborn.
Yep.
They weren't hostile at first. They were just kind of
They were
imposing.
prepared to be hostile.
Yeah.
They were on the brink of hostility. And we were in the embassy. And they were like, the guards moved into position. T-Hole tried to unsuccessfully intimidate them by calling on asking why they were going to assault their prince. Somebody, a young blind priestess came into the room, and she's a seer, and she was detecting invisibility because Clave Axius went invisible.
Well, she
and-
wasn't detecting my invisibility because I also have non-detection. So
Yeah.
I'm
What she was
immune to
detecting was
divination.
peppery.
yes.
Right.
I also
Yeah.
trapped some people in stone walls, and they were confused about how to react to that.
They just bashed their way through.
Yeah.
We learned about the giants, the giants and demon conflict. We learned that She-Elk, a large storm giant, captured. I said the city, but I didn't say the name. I think it was Sakara.
Yeah.
He captured Sakara, and seemed to be able to control Dragonborn, which is reminiscent of the device we encountered at the top of the mountain.
Yeah. It was mentioned that he both somehow forged an alliance with various different kinds of giants who don't normally work so well together, as well as getting some of the Dragonborn to join his side.
Yeah. So we learned that some demons are smarter than others and have, at least according to the ambassador, and presumably the empire's their imperial. I forgot his title, but
The console.
the consul. They have some weird goals. Like there's one set up in Akados, which is a Dragonborn tomb, and they seem to be looking for ancient secrets. The consul didn't really think that there was anything involved or anything, any sort of involvement with the cult of Vecna, although there has been cult activity in the area. And not just the cult of Vecna, but the cult of Thuristan. We learned. So there was a conversation that the consul and the Dragonborn ambassador had. They seemed to be quick allies in Sinaj, which is the local language that T-Hole could understand. Is that the consul told the ambassador that they can recover the crown if they kill She-Elk, which is what the Dragonborn clans are warring over. to determine who's the rightful heir of who's going to rule the Wormlands. So like they're kind of in some ways goaded us to go and kill She-Elk, and they're like, oh, but if they actually succeed, then that's going to be a problem.
Is it something to do with the flying fortress? They want the flying fortress to show up, and then and then if we find the crown, they're probably just gonna kill Zarius anyway, because they don't want him to be leader,
Exactly.
because they're afraid he's gonna start a revolt or something.
That's the working theory.
Yeah, the Sky Castle is really dangerous because it can appear pretty much anywhere, and the way that it's been used is to appear somewhere, throw down boulders, and just obliterate the area, and it's been very hard to defend against. So if we can take that, either destroy it or even better, take it for ourselves and have a giant sky castle, I mean, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would.
It
Maybe
only
this-
works over the desert. It-
Maybe-
But the way that they were thinking about doing it was tricking them into believing that a hatchery, that they had given up the location of a hatchery, and would coax the Sky Castle to appear and hopefully give whoever, us or whoever they have, a chance to overtake it.
Yeah, and we did learn that they put the real eggs, or at least allegedly the real eggs, are in a cavern somewhere, so that they could be protected from boulders being hurled off the castle.
Well, so that was actually part of the plan. There's a cavern at the back of the Tefnut Oasis. The plan was to leak that's where the eggs were being kept. In part because they don't want the castle to show up 10,000 feet up, just throw rocks down on the place and just fuck off. So they wanted to, they needed to be in some shielded location so that the castle would be forced to land and send out giants. So
Gotcha.
this is why they chose the cavern. They actually said the actual hatchery is currently the eggs are being shielded in a tomb.
Yeah. Also, the Empire has been supporting the Dragonborn in providing money, troops, helping them hire mercenaries to help address the issue. And Turbo is here leading that, and she's still sending some people to try and find us, but majority of the forces are committed to the effort to against the giants and the fiends.
Yeah, and in the room as well is like the person who is like, you know, the boss or the supervisor of the seer, which is Sadakan.
Or Teokon, yeah.
Sataya Khan, and she is the head priestess and was fairly rude in general when we were dealing, and very old.
She got hers though.
And there's some, there was some, you know, thoughts that maybe she was in cahoots with the other side.
That's
that
what
was
the seeress said later on when you met
Yeah.
her that night.
Yeah. Yeah, the seer contacted Zarius for a meeting in secret at a tavern.
yeah, over in the
in
where
like
the
a
Dragonborn, the poor Dragonborn are.
Yeah. And there were a lot of collapsed bodies. They looked to be under the influence of some sort of drug.
There's a trap house.
Mummy dust.
Mummy dust. Yeah, it was like people would take it because they could gain skills at the risk of losing others. So it was like it was a way to gain skills to get a job, and if you didn't, or a new career if you didn't necessarily have them. But too much of it would leave you catatonic.
We each got our own prophecies, which is
Yeah, and we ended the game with the session with prophecies.
Also, Aurelia got something. I don't know. Were we all aware of what Aurelia got, or is just Aurelia aware of it?
No,
Little
she
note-
was.
a little
I
note.
mean, she was walking, and an old man, bumped into her and said, "Oh, you dropped this." Picked something up off the ground and handed it to her, but it was a parchment map in a language nobody speaks.
And it had a pie symbol on it.
Right. Actually, there's a picture of it.
Yeah, I see it. It kind of looks like that Gates of Sul.
Ooh, pictures.
Where's the picture? Is it?
It's on up towards the top. Aurelia's mysterious note.
So
Oh.
mysterious. That's pretty cool.
The Gate of Sul.
But yeah, we each got prophecies, and at the risk of going through them all, that's where we ended the session. There was a lot of discussion about whether or not we were, because we also agreed to meet the council in like 3 days, and there was a lot of discussion about whether or not we should actually do that. And that wasn't quite resolved in terms of a consensus.
So at least when you left and that's fine. I'm just noting that they seemed to take it that you were going to return in 3 days, so that you can essentially journey with them south and be there for the assault. Though you didn't actually discuss after you met with the Cirrus and found out that Sorteacon might be working for the Giants and or Demons. You didn't actually discuss it much beyond that. But I mean, obviously that sort of undermines their plan.
And so
Yeah.
the CRS herself is the one that gave that, or told us that, right? Like that she suspected that.
Right.
I don't know if there's like, I don't know if I could.
She said she doesn't have
Insight.
any evidence of it, but her vision suggests that Sorteacon has been working with the Giants.
I guess I could insight, see if make sure she's not lying to us about that part of it.
The Cirrus? Sure.
Yeah.
She seems pretty sincere.
Okay. Got it.
So wait a minute. So if Sorteacon is working with the Giants, then what is the suspicion then that the plan won't work?
Well,
Right.
she could certainly, yeah. With that, I suppose maybe I might.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys can discuss really what that means. I don't want to give it away. There's several. I can myself imagine several implications if Sorteacon is in with the Giants, and what this means about the empires and the resistance's intelligence, where the eggs actually are the eggs actually in danger?
Was the Cirrus blind, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Sertea Khan was there.
Old.
Was the
Older
oldest
than
one.
me.
Okay, I don't know if that's possible, but who was the halfling? He was from the Empire, right? He was the
Right. He
Right.
is the consul of the empire, essentially the top diplomat of the empire.
Okay.
So, but it is, it is after your meeting with the Cirrus, you've all gone back and gotten a night's sleep in.
Um,
So I don't know if there's anything you guys need to do. If you're just going to wait and go back to the embassy at some point.
I guess I want to confirm. So Kepri has that telepathic ability with Dragonborn, right? Is it
Dragons and Dragonborn.
right? Right. I don't know. I feel like perhaps I might send Kepri invisibly to go and sort of like not like in like just like outside the window or something like that of wherever the other guy was that I forgot his name. The other Dragonborn dude that we were talking to.
The ambassador, you mean?
Yeah, the ambassador guy. Yeah,
Nisma?
Yeah.
I didn't write it down. I don't know.
The ambassador's name was Nisma.
Isma.
I'm reading off of Kurt's
the email.
summary. Yeah.
But I would basically have Kepri sort of like, I don't know, fly around to some of the windows and try and find his, and telepathically like tell him, from me that some things have come to light that may put Sertea Khan in or that how would it be put?
Incriminate.
Some incriminating circumstances that I can't quite show.
Wait,
Prophetic.
so you're
It is
you're
prophetic.
essentially going to
I want to
Sure.
warn him. I want to try and warn him. There has been prophetic evidence.
prophetic evidence is gonna give it away. That's a Cirrus, and she's gonna die.
It's also
Well, I'm
prophetic
a cleric.
evidence
He
is the
knows
most-
this.
Prophetic evidence is the most powerful evidence.
Yeah.
He
all
knows that I'm a
courts,
cleric
all
as
courts
well.
love prophetic
Especially
evidence.
from a den full of pharaoh dust.
Well, he
Look,
doesn't know
I
where
took
it's
enough
coming
pharaoh dust to know that this is horseshit.
Yeah, so
I'm sure the ambassador will be like, "Do you have any hearsay to back this up?"
so divining
Actually,
has been
technically it is hearsay prophetic evidence, so I guess that counts.
well, I'm not gonna. He doesn't need to know that. I'm just gonna say, divining has been performed. Sertea Khan may be compromised. Do not make plans around her.
Okay, is that the message?
Is there
That's
any
the message
interjection
only to him.
Is there any interjection that like any of the party can offer to say why this is a terrible idea?
That's true. That's true. Maybe Zarius is just having this conversation telepathically with Kepri, so none of you
Or
get to
is-
weigh in at all.
Yeah, or is this just like is this
The-
something that Zarius is so strongly about that he's just gonna do?
No, I feel like I
as a
would bring it
player, am
up.
Totally cool.
I feel like I would bring it up. Like if this is if this plan of theirs, if they want to try and do this plan, and Sertea Khan knows if she is in fact compromised, then it's not going to work.
Well,
Ke-
what
Khepri
about
would
this
s-
though?
Go ahead.
Like, let's assume the worst, which we should, because the worst has been happening all over the world. But if we assume the worst and the actual lair with the eggs, the hatchery is compromised, then what's going to happen? The forces are going to be at the Oasis, prepared for the Sky Castle. The Sky Castle is not going to appear there, and is going to instead appear at the actual location of the hatchery, and it's all going to be wrecked, and it's going to ruin the future generation of Dragonborn. So, what's let's but if that's not the outcome, and they do take the bait, then the forces of the Empire and the Dragonborn resistance will be able to mount an offensive. Maybe successful, maybe not. But so we can either go with the offensive, which may not anything happen, or we can send ourselves as a small contingent to the hatchery. And maybe I change the mile around the hatchery to make it more defensible. Maybe, we put up other traps to prepare in case the Sky Castle does come. And if the Sky Castle does happen to come and we are able to address it, then hey, free Sky Castle.
I wouldn't count on that.
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be as easy as I'd like to make it, because that would be awesome. But regardless, in either situation, we are an additive benefit, right? We are a small group, but we're quite powerful and formidable. If they split their forces to try and account for both, then either one is going to fail. It's going to be reducing their chances. And so it also gives proof then. If the Seerus is correct and Sir Tekakon can't be trusted, then we'll be able to know
someone elsewhere in the hotel just jumped off the roof.
Wilhelm!
Right. So, I mean, it seems like it makes sense to allow the plan to unfold. Trust that the Empire and the Dragonborn resistance is strong enough that if the Sky Castle does form where they anticipate it will, then they'll be able to address the situation. If not, then we're prepared to save the hatchery and take the Sky Castle for ourselves. Or at the least, we would, because we are a smaller contingent, they're not going to be anticipating the resistance that we can mount. They're not going to be, and we're going to be able to more easily infiltrate the Sky Castle and attack its most vital part, which is Shealk. Seems like if Shealk goes away, so does a lot of the bonds that are holding these groups together.
That was one of the other things they discussed, is that they said they were not so sure that if Shealk goes away, that the whole alliance collapses. Because he has a daughter in particular who could take over for him. And they just don't know what the power structure is, because they don't know how he's managed to cobble together this alliance in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
More divination might be necessary, if at all possible.
Whatever you divine is, you can't use that as evidence for any particular claim. The consul will simply not believe it. The ambassador might, depending on how spiritual their connection is with the gods. But the consul definitely won't. And lead based on our brief interaction earlier, the ambassador seems to be pretty friendly with the consul. He's quick to trust. So it would be him that would really need to be won over.
You know, the
Also,
other. Oh, go ahead.
Also, my main issue is the first part of Clave's Axios's sentence, which is trust in the Empire. Like, we're still going to be where they want them to be if we go along with their plan. And they will have their forces right where we're at. We put ourselves in a vulnerable position.
On top of it, Zarius, one thing that I have learned in my experience, being what I am, information is really powerful, but you can't, once information is out there, you can't control how it's used. Best possible scenario, the ambassador listens to you and does their best to keep it under wraps. But do they act nervous then around Surtekon? Do they accidentally give up that there's suspicion now? And now they start making adjustments, believing that they're discovered. Even without Nisma betraying your confidence, it could still betray the entire plan. Okay. So I'm not saying not to do it. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not saying not to do it. I would just, make sure that you're using caution, because once the ambassador has that information, we don't know how they're going to use it, and if they'll use it wisely.
Peppery would chime in just to say, if we're really going to think about this from like a worst case scenario, then, well, we don't know that the ambassador hasn't been compromised,
There you
or
go.
anyone. This all could be just a trap to capture Zarius.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
It could be a red herring. The Cirrus could just be shooting us a bunch of bullshit and stroking our egos with these fancy prophecies that say that we're going to be all, I'm going to save the world and you guys are going to do your thing.
She seemed too sincere for that to be the case.
I've seen pretty sincere plenty of times. Didn't work out for people who believe me.
When you can read people like I do, let me know.
Dude, I can read their minds.
Did you read her mind?
I did not. I didn't want to potentially give away that fact. Who knows how strong her will is? Still,
She wouldn't have seen it coming.
We could.
good one.
We could potentially meet with the ambassador, get a sense on him. Because if he is proficient, he is an ambassador, he should be able to keep the cards close to his chest.
Yeah, but maybe
What if
not.
he is?
I mean, we're also talking about.
He could also provide, as you said, information can be powerful. So can false information.
Right, but the Cirrus also was very quick to point out that the whatever reason for what's happening could be related to magic. And so if it's related to magic, if there is magic at play, which probably. We can't trust that even the best efforts made by the ambassador is going to keep the information where it's intended to remain.
I only mean that he could potentially weaponize it. If she is to feed information to the enemies, then he could give her false information. But it would involve getting to know him, which perhaps we do not have enough time.
Yeah, we're talking about 3 days. If plans suddenly change 3 days away from a major offensive like this, it's going to raise suspicion. And if there is an informant or a leak or some kind of magical sensor that is getting information, that in itself is going to raise alarms. So,
Also, just to be clear, in 3 days they're leaving this city to go upriver. The actual assault was going to be some point after that. So it's probably going to be like a week and a half before they're actually in position to do this thing.
I mean,
okay, so we have plenty
I've
of
watched
time
Game of
because
Thrones.
our-
They make entire game plans in just one little stroll through the garden. So
yeah,
we could do it.
and not to mention, you know, we can leave, you know, a day before and probably get there same time as them.
I mean, yeah, you could travel way faster than they're going to be traveling.
Yeah,
But they're going against the stream to go upriver. So they're rowing their way upriver.
And
So I guess that's another question.
How
like,
many do we know? How many
Uh,
people are going?
You don't know how many people are going. You know that the Empire already has troops around Dharma Shah. You don't know how many they have within the borders of the Warmlands. But they have a sizable force already in the general area.
And where are they planning the assault for? The
It's
decoy.
right. So that is in the caverns at the back of the Tefnut Oasis in the northern Hinjaz Mountain.
Okay. And then did they say where the actual hatchery is?
They suggested that it's in the tomb of Karfet. But they really just
Okay.
said a tomb. That is, however, kind of the largest and most well-known place where they actually have access to the building.
So then that's another point of question, like how much time would we need and how quickly could we get there compared to the Tefnut Oasis? At least on the map, they seem, if we were to head straight for either one, it seems like it would be a pretty similar distance from
Right.
Darmstadt.
Yeah. Yeah. It is essentially the same distance.
Oh yeah, there's that little nifty tool. So 40 miles. So if we needed to go from here to here, we could get there in about a day.
I mean, with wind walking,
Yeah.
it wouldn't even take a full day.
So, but I mean, so that's another consideration. We could potentially come with the troops to the Tefnut Oasis and then come here after if needed, but that would risk a lot of time where that castle can potentially do a lot of damage.
Part of me thinks that the Empire is plan is to blast the castle out of the sky with the power of the silver throne as soon as they can get it to show. And anybody who's caught in the radius is just a casualty. So if we happen to be caught in the radius, all the better.
Don't they want us alive?
I don't think they care.
I think we would be just as good to them dead as alive.
They know they cannot actually kill T-Hole.
Well, that's an unpleasant thought. I mean, I thought the whole point was that they thought we had the wand or knew how to get it.
They want to prevent us from getting it.
Yeah,
They
Right.
want to prevent.
When
They want to prevent T-Hole from getting it. That was their
When you-
story.
when you first met Turbo, she suggested that they had recovered the Book of the Wand from the elves when they defeated the elves, and that they had figured out a lot about where the wand is, and that she basically said that they knew you don't have it, but they have this concern based on their own divination that at some point you're going to get it and destroy the
Okay.
world.
They don't trust
Their
T-Hole.
words.
which I can't imagine why they wouldn't. You know,
Right.
T-Hole is perplexed.
Yeah. I just thought funny. It was like, we don't, they're like, we don't trust T-Hole to use it responsibly. And we're like, so we won't give it to T-Hole. What do you mean?
Well, you know,
It's that simple.
to T-Hole's point, that's an even better reason why we should just not rock the boat, let them go to Tefnut Oasis, and we go to the place of the actual hatchery, because then Silver Throne does what it does ineffectively because the castle's not there. We're at the hatchery, castle shows up, and we do what we do.
If the castle goes to Kefnut, it wouldn't necessarily then go to the hatchery.
No, what I'm saying is the ambassador and everybody, their plan is to have the decoy at Tefnut. And that's where they want us. We don't go there. We go to where the real hatchery is. Because then, if to Teal's point, if he's right and they're just planning to use the Silver Throne and just destroy the entire area like with Lucianum, then we're not there when that happens. And we're able to address the issue with the castle. So further messing with the Empire by letting them think, they finally got us. And we pop back up like the roaches we are.
I would rather be I would rather be I would rather be trying to use our talents and much to Clave's thought of either at the hatchery or trying to ascertain the nature of the castle rather than being bait for the castle to show up.
I believe their
Also-
intent is not for us to be the bait, but to be the infiltrators.
Well, it's kind of a win-win for them either way. At least for the Empire. But I would also feel better about going to the hatchery just because, I mean, innocent babies getting killed is not a good thing. I would much rather work to prevent something like that if it were going to happen.
Then we may need to get more details on their plan.
Okay.
I
We
think
should
that's-
also examine this note that Aurelia got.
Yes, it could potentially hold more insight. Too bad I can't read this form of Elvish.
Well, give me a second, and Clave will ritually cast comprehend languages. Oh, it's spoken language. Oh, I also understand written.
Yeah.
That I can
Comprehend
see.
languages
Comprehend
works.
will do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you'll get the like literal meaning of the words.
So
so I
Clave
would
looks
just
at
ask Teal, were you spending an action point?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I spent an action point. That first result was not what I wanted.
Clave's gonna look at the map and say, this doesn't make any sense.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. Some sort of Elvish. I can't read it.
No, it's not that. It's like talking about mountains of spirits and a scorpion. This is, I mean, Zarius, is there any giant scorpion around here? Or spirit mountains?
Doesn't say giant. Could be just one regular scorpion.
Even worse. Which scorpion? In all the desert.
I'm trying to load the map, but it is just spinning. Or load the picture.
Is your power supply fan on?
Yeah. Listen, Cletus can load the picture, and Cletus is like $900 worth of parts.
Everything else loads fine, but the pictures.
So much for that graphics card.
It's spinning like it's trying to load something. It's Roll20 that's fucking up here right now.
Sure.
That's fair.
It's not the hardware, it's the software, even though it works perfectly for everyone else.
See, there's the thing.
So
There's
I
a
mean, so you
zonal
basically,
differential here.
right? You basically, Tony already guessed that the thing next to the pi symbol says the gates of Seoul.
I know where that's at.
Right.
Is there lore or anything like that involved with that place, with that location?
I mean, there are a lot of different stories about that location. All you would know for certain is that it way predates the Dragonborn being down here.
Hmm.
It probably predates ancient Tholt itself. But you know, there are pilgrimages there to get healed and to, you know, people think it can grant wishes. They think if you cross through it, you can talk to dead loved ones.
Right. That's kind of what I was figuring. Let's see if this will load now. Nope.
So I remembered that in order for the Silver
there we
Throne to be able to strike a target, it has to be still for several hours. So it might have some difficulty in trying to hit a moving, floating castle unless it were grounded for several hours. Which, if the diversion tactic was, or the tactic at the gates of, or at the Tough Nut Oasis was, I can't read Tough Nut without thinking like Tough Nuts Oasis, like some sort of light going to the Tough Nut Oasis. Unless they were able to ground, they'd have to seriously ground the castle for quite an amount of time for that to even come into play. Which seems unlikely.
Okay.
So we may not have to worry about the Silver Throne.
That's a relief.
Leave the map. This page is instructions. The question is, where's the start? Do we start where the star is? These are walking instructions.
Well, we don't know where the star is, right? So, but we
Indeed.
do know where the gates are, or you know where the gates are, anyway. So it seemed that we would start from the gates to get to the star. But I can't read Elvish, so I'm only literate in maps.
I feel like T-Hole can read Elvish, he just refuses.
He refused to ever learn it.
That was the class he skipped when he was in school. That's why it's not a language proficiency of his.
So it's not clear that this has anything to do with your quest at all, but that is what the map says.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's, we gotta decide, I guess, what we want to do. Or
Have you told what the have you said what the different pieces mean to the group, or is it only Clave and Zarius that can read it?
I figured he just read it out or translated it, wrote down the translation.
Like Clave did that?
I mean, you translated it, right?
I mean,
You-
no, I was reading it and I was telling you guys what it said. And that didn't make sense. Talking about scorpions and mountain spirits.
I would just tell you to write it down.
The father sleeps. That's sounds ominous. What sort of father would be sleeping in the desert?
Yeah.
I'm going to
Like I
hazard
said,
a
it's-
guess that we will not be on the material plane.
It
How?
smells.
What? What are you basing
Smells
that on?
like.
Instinct.
Do you often randomly just fall off the material plane walking through the desert?
We have once traveled across a planar rend without realizing it.
Oh,
You were not present for this.
okay. It's weird.
No, this smells like Cult of Thuristan. To me, the father, the thing they're trying to wake up.
I can't imagine they would call it a father.
It could just be the translation that people in this plane jive with the most.
Would Asmodeus be called the father of lies here?
Yeah, I mean that is one of the titles he might have. You might not know why he would be asleep in the desert.
I mean, who fucking cares? Ancient times, weird shit happens. He was put to sleep there. For all we know.
Well,
Could be that. We know he is connected to the wand.
I'm inclined to avoid the Tough Nuts Oasis. And to head to potentially the tomb to see if that's where the real dragon eggs are at. But
Well, it is where the real dragon eggs are, but is it going to be where the Sky Castle appears?
It is where. God damn it. I closed all my shit. I had to restart my fucking browser. What's her name? Sortea Khan. And this is where Sortea Khan says that they are. But how reliable can she be?
Well, if Sortea Khan is compromised and the goal is to destroy the eggs, sounds logical to me that that is probably where they are, and they want the Sky Castle to be, and not where the forces be of the resistance.
What do I know about this tomb? Is it like a pyramid tomb, or
It is a pyramid. There is a fairly large, for a pyramid, internal chamber. When it was ransacked, it's not a tomb anymore. It was ransacked in time immemorial. So it's always just been more or less. I mean, I wouldn't call it necessarily a tourist attraction, but it has been a fairly common marker for people traveling along the roads because you could see it for miles around. So it's more of a landmark than anything. Some people do go there. Like there are always rumors that there's even deeper hidden chambers that have never been found. So people will go out there and, swing a pick and try to knock stones out. So it's in increasingly rough shape as time goes on, but it seems as if it's actually been pretty thoroughly plundered.
still a pyramid?
Still a pyramid.
Still not going to be easy to topple.
Right. Yeah. It's probably immune from just throwing rocks at it from above.
Both places are defensible.
Yeah, but one is probably more defensible with people being actually there.
I don't know if a giant could reach the inner chambers of the pyramid. It might be too large.
Maybe they have magic that reduces their size.
Well, that'll make it easier to kill them.
Maybe they can teleport. Maybe they have fiends that are of normal size. Or
That is more likely to
Dragonborn
be the
size.
case.
Small giant teleporting dragonborns? Oh.
I mean, when you consider the, whether there's misinformation, you have to also consider what is the goal. Here, the goal is either if the information that we have is right, to get the Sky Castle to the diversion where the resistance is, so that the resistance can take the Sky Castle and take it off the board, thus saving the actual hatchery from having to go through that threat. Now, if the information is wrong, then you're going to want your forces away from where the Sky Castle is actually going to be, and also be able to deal a decisive blow to the target, which is the future generations of the Dragonborn. So I don't, if there is misinformation, I don't think it's about the location of the hatchery. It's more likely the location that is being given to the enemy. Either they're feeding the lie that we want them to have, which is the false location, or they're feeding them the actual information, which is the actual location and also not where the forces are going to be to resist the incursion. And I suspect that, Xarius, I don't imagine your people would leave a hatchery just unguarded. So I imagine that there probably are forces there, but probably not sufficient without reinforcement to take on something like what we've heard the Sky Castle can manage.
So do we go to the tomb?
I think it makes more sense. I mean, we get to protect the actual eggs. And if the Sky Castle goes to the other place, cool. We know that the people that are working on behind the scenes with that are actually in league for the benefit of your people's areas. And then also, we get a short vacation where we get to see little baby Dragonborn and their eggs. But then if the castle if somebody is a traitor, castle comes to the hatchery and we're prepared to defend the hatchery and save the Dragonborn babies.
We will see. We will assume we will go there, but we can also assume that we will learn more on our travels.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't incorporate information and adjust course as needed, but I think based on the information that we have, that's my assessment, and that's what I would recommend. But I mean, these are your people's areas, so. What's Aurelia doing during all this discussion?
Waiting to decide what we're doing. What plan of action we're going to take to our demise.
Just sitting there picking her teeth or something. So Clave is gonna just go. All right, it's been a long day. I think we should hit the hay. We can talk more in the morning.
It is morning.
Wait, what?
It is morning.
I thought this was the evening after the still the evening when we got back from seeing the Cirrus.
I had said you went back to your hotel and got a rest, long rest in.
Oh,
So we're really debating over coffee.
okay.
I still like that Clave is like, well, time to hit the hay.
Maybe hitting the old dusty trail. Yeah. My concern still is that if Sorteakon is in league with the others, then their goal were to destroy the hatchery. It would already be done.
What makes you say that?
Why wouldn't they just destroy it?
Because maybe they can't. Maybe the Sky Castle is doing other things.
Or maybe they're waiting.
Maybe the lines of communication between the whatever trader may be here in league with the giants may be slow. Maybe there are no traders, and that's why it hasn't been destroyed. I mean, just because Sorteakon has information and can potentially be a trader doesn't mean that all the stars are aligning for the perfect opportunity. There may be other factors that we don't know, hence why it's a good idea to get more intelligence. And also, we don't know how recently Sorteakon turned. If it is magic, this may be a fairly recent situation.
So refresh my memory. Sorteakon is clerical in nature, right? She
Yes, she's a
could
priestess
perform
of Isis.
miracles. Yeah.
Yes, she is able to cast spells for sure.
There's still a chance that she is capable of sending long distance messages, as I am.
Right. But once again, we don't know what the Giants are doing. They might be saying, hey, we're doing something else right now. Stall. Right? Just because the hatchery is a good target to fuck up you guys doesn't mean that it's their priority right now.
It may not be a priority at all.
Well, maybe that's another part of it. Maybe it's dealing a blow to the morality of your people's resistance. I mean, imagine if you try to launch this giant offensive, you try to put false information into the enemy's ear, you bring them out to try and to do this huge thing that would be a turning point in the entire resistance. And not only did they not fall for it, but they take out a major part of your people's future by destroying an entire hatchery. I mean, what would that do to the resistance of your people and the will of your people to fight?
I need resources.
T-Hole puts his hand on Zarius's shoulder. I'll be a resource.
If you know what I mean, open that cloaca.
I just look and say, "Hmm, I don't know if burning you as a sacrifice is sufficient."
He pulls his arm back. Oh, well, in that case, we can
Wheat
find
and
some
incense
other
will
resources.
suffice.
Well, maybe it's tough calls. Well, time to hit the hay. Maybe it's not even worth going to getting involved in the giant Dragonborn conflict and pursuing this map instead.
Yes, let's pursue a map that we don't know where it goes or what it's for or if it's even real.
This is why I need the wheat.
A random
And the
random piece of
incense.
paper that could have been just written on a napkin for all we know.
Look, we're willing to believe divine hearsay, but not believe a map.
A map that we can see with our own eyes. Yeah, Zarius will just get up. I must find these things. I just start walking. No fucking clue where I'm gonna find them, so I'm just gonna start looking.
What are you looking for?
I need like some wheat, some incense.
25 gold coins worth of wheat. All the wheat, please.
Not necessarily wheat, but grains. Some sort
Wait,
of,
we're not playing Catan.
some sort of harvest. Yeah, we're playing Catan. Anybody got any wood for my sheep?
As Zarius walks away, Clave is going to look at T-Hole and Aurelia and ask, should we follow?
Zarius is a grown dragonborn. He can fend for himself. I'm going to sit and enjoy my coffee for a little bit longer. The tea down here is just not as good.
Why did I get out of bed again?
To have this wonderfully thorough discussion.
Yeah, you know what? You've probably never seen me drink coffee at any other place until we got back down to the south here. This is where the real coffee's at.
Yeah, I'm imagining it's like Turkish coffee, just like very strong, very thick, but very delicious.
So what does Zarius look like as you're leaving the hotel, presumably?
That's a mighty fine question, Clave. Do you do anything? Because I'm just getting up and going.
So yeah, I guess Clave would cast Seeming, and once again, he would just have turn Zarius into the form that he was in when we were walking around before. So whatever that was. When where is it? When it was in Mirex. And I would make myself look like Ion Arif, and then Elsa and Beehole.
I guess since it's tomorrow, I'll double check my prepared spells here. Actually, I haven't actually done that.
While you do that, Darius is going for his walk. What do people want to do in the hotel? Or do you want to leave the hotel and go do something?
Mm,
T-Hole would be drawn to checking out a library or kind of a repository of books, or like a bookstore. Someplace where he could learn and kind of research local legends, and peruse that.
yeah, and Clave would be looking through the markets.
Okay, so T-hole, I guess make me a persuasion check since you're gonna have to ask around.
Terrible.
14's not terrible. It's perfectly
So,
average.
you basically learned most of the population in this country is not literate. So there is some trade in scrolls and tomes. Books, like actual bound books, are a little less common down here. But the actual libraries that exist tend to be private collections. So wealthy people, and there is a university in the town, have libraries, but it's not like free public access libraries.
I see. Walking by is the university close enough where T-Hole would be able to like walk by it and see what sort of security they have in place?
You could go by it. It would probably take you about an hour to get there. It's mostly along the coast. It's not exactly near the docks, but there's a cliff that overlooks the sea where most of the buildings of the university are. You wouldn't say that there's great security, but there are people wandering around who periodically do check to see if the people who are there belong there. You could probably get in, but at some point somebody would probably ask you who you are. Also, what do you look like?
Um, he'd be wearing the same kind of getup that he was wearing, what that B-hole was wearing when just talking with the wine merchant, which was, I believe, like a purple sheer robes.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
Because they're sheer.
Because the wine merchant recognizes you after what we did.
Oh, well, I guess Clay would have probably brought that up.
Yeah, Clave definitely would have mentioned that because everybody else was looking like a guard during that interaction, whereas you were looking like somebody that would be a seller.
Yeah. I guess I would just be people would be wearing kind of like desert, not noble clothes, but not necessarily rags. So kind of like, middling merchant.
Would you want to be like an Ismaili human, or like something else? Did I get that right, Ismaili?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
So that's what T-Hole would look like. This Merly human is kind of like a middling merchant. he'd go into, be walking by the library. Let's see, does it have any? Nope. Cooking utensils, which I still have yet to use.
So before we get into
Uh,
that, Zarius, you are walking essentially in a random direction. You don't necessarily know where it was you were going.
I mean,
You
if
do-
I had noticed where they might have been like previously, then I'll go in that direction. Otherwise, I'll also use Kepri to sort of aerial scout.
right. So per my message, this person was clearly waiting in the hotel, and is following you because you left the specific room you were in.
Hmm.
But your perception is high enough that he is not. You actually would gather he is probably pretty proficient at blending in and hiding.
Mhm.
You just have a higher perception that he could beat. He rolled a
Yeah.
14 and he is proficient.
So okay. Cool. Fine. I'm going to do I want to do anything yet? Oh, I guess my death ward is worn off, huh?
That's fine.
I'm gonna like duck, like just like take a corner on the road and then like stand back and see if he sort of passes.
So you turn the corner, how far? Like, are you hoping he just like turns the corner and you are like nose to nose with him, or?
Yeah, kinda. So I'm not gonna be very far. I'm just gonna come right off the side so that he doesn't see me and my fucking bulky form, right? So that he's forced to come around the corner to see me. Unless he like goes to the far side of the road or whatever, I guess. But I'm not like going down an empty alleyway or anything like that. I'm sticking to the main where there are people.
Right. I was just wondering how close you were hoping to encounter this guy.
I mean, if I can get close, cool.
So he does not anticipate you doing this. So he, in fact, like turns the corner sharply, like right where you are. And you are pretty much right there in front of him. And you could see he just sort of looks down and then moves around you. And then walks off about another 20 feet. And then leans up against the wall to adjust his sandal.
I just watch him. Stare him down.
Oh no, more slowly. Sexy.
So after exhausting all the possibilities of adjusting his sandal, he just sits down, starts looking around, nonchalantly avoiding staring back at you.
All right. Has Kepri given me an idea as to where to go yet?
To buy incense and wheat.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And
So-
various herbs and such too. I'm gonna need, or I'm gonna want, I should say.
Right. So there is a bazaar that is relatively nearby where you could probably get all this stuff.
So yeah, basically I'm gonna start walking now, and I'm gonna have sort of Kepri like back a little ways, watching for him to probably start following me. And I guess we'll see.
Right.
I don't know if I have
Yeah.
to walk past him or not, but
Yeah, you do not. You really have to sort of continue when you turn the corner, you sort of continue straight down that road. Kepri notes that he waited a couple seconds after you were out of sight and then got up, walked across the street, turned his shirt inside out, his tunic, as there's a different color on the inside.
right.
And he picked up a hat from a stall on the side of the road and threw a coin at the guy and pulls it down over his eyes and continues walking after you. He's probably at this point about 100 feet behind you, though.
Okay. That's fine.
But you eventually make it to the bazaar. It's not that early in the morning. I mean, it's past the hours when these things would be open. There are a lot of people already out shopping, and people are sort of yelling about what it is they're selling. People are loudly haggling. You could smell all sorts of spices and perfumes filling up the air, giving it it's almost unpleasant because of the mix of wildly different smells, and just the tumult of everybody screaming all at once. All of them basically talking in what you imagine is the same local language the documents are in, so you don't really even understand what it is they're saying.
Okay.
Occasionally you do hear people speaking in common, not so much Draconic though, and no Goblin whatsoever.
That's fine. So the moment I see that, or I hear that, I'm gonna cast tongues.
So now you do understand. I mean, you picked up the gist that these were people haggling and trying to entice people to come
Yeah.
look at their wares.
I figured it'd be easier to communicate what I need if they can properly understand me.
So what does tongues look like, do you imagine?
Well, I don't need the little clay model of a ziggurat because I have my focus. So that's nice. I guess I'll just sort of stop, kind of go off to the side because I don't need to like be in the middle of the fucking main thoroughfare while I cast a spell that these people probably have no fucking clue anything about it. I don't need to scare the locals.
Right. You would know that they do distinguish between divine magic and what they tend to call black magic. But, probably a lot of them don't really know how to identify one versus another. So if they see a dragonborn casting spells, they might just assume it's the wrong kind.
So I think that for this, I don't know. I feel like whenever I cast the spell, sort of almost spectral snake appears, and I snag it, and I pull the tongue out and I eat it.
Okay, so you go off to the side and cast the spell and swallow the snake's tongue. Are you trying? I assume you're trying to be inconspicuous about it.
I'm not trying to like be super obvious, but like if I'm trying to hide what I'm doing, then it looks more suspicious. So I'm just like trying to not be in the way. And I'm still like making sure that Kepri's keeping an eye on that dude.
Okay. Yeah.
Moment he's like within 60 feet.
Right. By the time you get to the bazaar, he is probably about 60 feet behind you.
I'm gonna tell Kepri, stay invisible, but like go like right, like on the part of the back where you can't reach very well, and just whisper to him, he knows you're here, and then like fly off so that he doesn't like fucking like that.
Okay, so
but like fly off and like, but like he can't see her. Maybe he can hear, but
right. So she speaks Do me a favor and roll initiative for Kepri. Oh, never mind. Kepri is
Yeah,
going to
Kepri
beat
can
it
beat that
two.
easily. On a
Kepri
1,
will
she still beats it.
automatically beat it two. So she is able to do it and get away. Although he does make a move to, without hesitation on his part, although just too slow, he immediately spins and tries to grab it where the voice came from.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, I'm just
But
trying to
you
freak
missed.
him out. That's fine.
I mean, Kepri could do worse. She could cast suggestion on him and to get him to leave if you
I
want.
know. That would make her visible, but
Right.
yeah, so I'll just, have Kepri get perched up on a, on a roof somewhere where she can keep an eye on everything.
So she's watching him. I mean, you could easily try to disappear into the crowd. It would just take a stealth check.
I mean, I'm
And
not trying
he-
to disappear. I'm trying to fucking buy shit. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could disappear for a moment, but you know what? Fuck it. I have disadvantage. Yeah. Disadvantage roll.
Yeah, he's able to keep track of you.
I figured. I'm wearing this heavy ass armor. I got fucking -1 on my rolls. So, like, I mean,
Right. So in terms of like spices and incense, that's all pretty easy to find. Wheat is pretty easy to find, or other grains, depending
grains
on
and such. Yeah.
what specifically it is you're looking for. I won't make you buy tons and tons of it. Even though grains are pretty cheap according to the
Just the
place number.
premium stuff, the blue saffron infused wheat.
Yeah.
The-
It's artisanally cut
homegrown.
by some hipster.
Like,
Lovingly.
all the seeds are eaten and shat out by all the chickens that they own.
There you go.
What
Farmed
happened to
in
our chicken,
dirt.
by the way?
So the chicken, as it turned out, was just was a quasit that was secretly going to be following your group. It didn't work out for the quasit.
Wait, did this happen on camera?
The chicken got killed, but the chicken was technically a secret quasit.
That's awesome.
I forget
Did we
exactly
see the
when
chicken
you
get
fought.
killed?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. It was just like caught in an area of effect, and it was dead.
Was there a closet there suddenly? Did we just not pay attention to a dead
Right,
closet?
just like the chicken, you did not pay attention to the dead, dead quasit.
Aurelia was the one feeding it.
Right. But yeah, so you were in that town at one point and you came across this. The quasit but it managed to get away. It survived the fight with you. And then it decided, aha, I will disguise myself as a chicken and infiltrate the group.
That is the smartest way to infiltrate a group. Oh my god.
I'm thinking we had an actual chicken. It ate the chicken and was just impersonating it. That's some shit. I'm gonna do that. Fuck it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
do that.
brilliant. I'm stealing that myself.
I forgot about that quasit thing. It's just like I never had an opportunity for like the big reveal.
I haven't forgot. I always forget about it during the game. I'm always like in bed trying to fucking go to sleep. What the fuck happened to that chicken? So yeah. Alrighty. So yeah, I just need like various grains. I need incense, and I need a few like herbs, like saffron and stuff.
Mhm.
Because I hope to perhaps one day cast True Sight, and I need to make an unguent.
So yeah, you can find all that stuff.
Perfect. I will just spend some money and just say I have stuff to cast the stuff.
Now, are you spending money that you have, or are you asking?
I
T-Hole
do. I have
for another loan?
149 gold pieces. Which I will I will trade out like discreetly so as not to draw attention to me, because I like, even though compared to you guys 149 gold is fucking nothing probably, I think. It's a lot to these people. Most of these people, I should say. I don't know what, like, if we're in a good part of the town.
Yeah,
or not,
you're
actually.
you're in a significantly better part of town now because you're in the same district as the embassies.
All right. So then maybe this is like, all right, yeah, this is a day's amount of money.
Some walking around money.
Some walking around money. Yeah, yeah. I only brought this much with me, you know. Yeah, so whatever. Yeah. I'll
So cut
spend
to-
I don't know how much money I need. I'll just spend 100 gold. Fuck it.
So cut to T-hole. You find yourself in the library of this university. You gather once you're in the library that the university has definitely seen better days. It looks very old. It looks like the buildings themselves are probably pretty ancient and they're reasonably well kept up. The library, however, is mostly comprised of scrolls. A lot of them seem to be old enough to be crumbling. There don't seem to be that many actual scholars or students around. Like I said, you occasionally see somebody sort of wandering among the stacks, looking to see if the people who are there actually belong there. But there's actually only a couple of students and then you. What are you looking for?
I would be looking for I'd be looking for legends like around. So specifically, I would be looking for kind of legends and mythos around the Tomb of Karfet or like the Gates of Sul. If there's anything a bit more concrete than we've already learned, just from like general knowledge. But if there's like any stories or like more in depth on a particular theory
So
about
make me an investigation check.
ice.
And then make me just a second investigation check for the other topic. So you are able to find not so much stories about the Tomb of Karfet. You were able to find a book, however, that goes into a sort of history of monument building that does have a section on the tomb. The tomb is considered to be one of the older pyramids in the area, in that it's not like a flat-sided straight pyramid. It's more like more of a step pyramid. And there is some evidence that it is significantly older than other ones, at least within the Warmlands. Elsewhere, maybe there are some older ones, but it is probably the oldest one. It's definitely the oldest one that's ever been discovered in the Warmlands. Karfet is kind of a stand-in name. They don't really know the name of whoever was buried there, but tradition says that whoever it was, that ruler's name was Karfet. The central
Okay.
chambers, as I said, is sort of unusually large, which might make it a good place to store eggs. Depends on how many eggs there are, but it's like a 40 by 40 central tomb area where they imagine the remains were once kept. Most of the structure itself is obviously, it's not mostly hollow. It's got a series of chambers in it, with one main chamber, the big one.
Okay.
Most of the original artwork seems to be gone. There is plenty of evidence that at some point the tomb itself was the site of a battle, and so there is damage to most of the outer structure of it is also gone. Like it's fairly rough hewn. at this point because it's millennia old. But there is evidence that, you know, like part of the corner was disintegrated, and a lot of damage that they imagined was spell damage. And then on the Gates of Sewell, you mostly find what seem to be folk tales. Again, some people think that it is that there are genies that inhabit the structure and that they will randomly transport you to the realm of the genies, of the jinn, in order to mess with you and possibly kill you. A lot of people seem to disappear when they go on a pilgrimage to this particular site. There are a lot of reasons why that might be that don't involve this particular monument doing anything to them. Bandits along the road, and no one ever hears from you again. But the stories of genies or ghosts are pretty common about this place.
Okay.
So all of them sort of circle around it being like a portal. Like you have to walk through the plinths in order to draw the attention of whatever it is that's haunting the site.
All right.
So, and then, like I said, there are also legends about people who go there to be healed, who, have limbs regrown because they've crossed under the lintels. So it sort of comes down to this is why I said also that people believe you might be able to get wishes granted because of the associations with genies. Those stories are all pretty fantastic. Like, some poor boy crosses underneath it and then goes home and discovers that he has now millions of gold waiting for him. Magic carpets, a whole new world.
Very nice.
What's Aurelia doing with her day?
I guess I would go back into the hotel and try to get. How tall is the hotel? Is it a couple floors?
It's so, like I said, this is essentially a single-story building. There are golden spires atop the different little sub-buildings, but it is essentially a collection of buildings, all of which are centered around a sort of green courtyard and fountain. So it's really one story. You could probably figure out a way to get up into the spire at the top, but it's not obvious how to do that.
Okay, that's what I'm going to try to do. I want to get a bird's eye view and just watch to see what goes on.
Okay, give me an investigation check. And roll me a perception check for that matter. So you realize pretty quickly in trying to figure out how to get up into them that at the back of the building, essentially on the far side from the courtyard, there is a series of handholds that are just built into the side of the building that allow you to climb up onto the roof. The minarets on top don't, they do have small hatches. They don't seem to have windows. They appear to be mostly decorative. Do you realize what looks like gold is actually probably not real gold? But it's easy enough for you to pop the little hatch open and get inside. But once you're in there, it's pitch black. Oh, you have your ring on, so you have dark vision, right?
Right, yeah.
So you can see that there's some people have scrawled graffiti in a language you can't quite read. It's in the same alphabet as was on the map.
Okay.
which, by the way, is actually the Phoenician alphabet. I just got lazy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna just get a view of, try to get a view of everything, and if I can spot any of our group, I will try to do that. I just want to see what the comings and goings of anybody that looks like they're involved with the Empire. Like, I'm assuming that our hotel is being watched, or there's probably people watching it.
So you see a lot of people who look like they might be associated with the Empire, at least according to the way they're dressed.
Mhm.
Most people don't wander around in togas. Even in the Empire, that's a little uncommon. They're more high status, fancy time clothes. But a lot of
Bit
people seem to
gauche.
be right. A lot of people seem to be dressed in what, to your eyes, look like perfectly normal imperial style tunics. A lot of people are certainly more people are in more traditional desert style garb, like loose fitting robes, as opposed to bare tunics. But it is a fair mix of people who, a lot of whom seem like they might actually be locals and might just be affecting a more imperial style.
Okay.
You also do occasionally see like a soldier or two in light armor. Not whole formations, like not whole squads wandering through the streets, but you'll see like imperial messengers tend to be in the military. So you imagine it's probably messengers carrying messages back and forth. I mean, you know that you're not all that far away from the imperial embassy in the city.
Is there any kind of frequency that these messengers go? I mean, if I sit up there for a couple hours, is it every 10 minutes, or is it random?
It's definitely not regular, but you're probably seeing one every 20 to 30 minutes on average.
Okay.
And what's Clave doing?
I am going through the market, just looking for deals.
So we're all here.
There are a number of markets in town, so we may not all be at the same market.
Everybody roll a percentile. Has that guy felt brave yet? Try to get closer again.
No, he seems to be keeping his distance. He's happy at about 60 feet. You know, luckily with your limp, you're probably not going to break out into a run.
Even if I did, I get this is the huge stride. So, but if he's roguish, he probably has bonus action dash, so he can easily catch up.
Well, I mean, if you really want to run, I will break out the chase rules, which don't allow for bonus action dash to just decide the fight.
Well,
But I mean, your insight is high enough at this point that you realize he probably doesn't mean to attack you. He's probably keeping tabs. Now, how he knew exactly where you were and was waiting for you to come out the door, you don't know that. I mean, actually, give me an insight check. See what you can figure out about him passively. So you don't necessarily know who he's working for. He's purposefully dressed nondescript. He's human, and so that could mean He's probably not with the Dragonborn. But that could mean he's with the actual city elites or with the Empire pretty easily. Or who knows? Maybe one of there are at least 2 cults that have been mentioned could be with them.
Yeah, let's see here. Khepri's abilities here right quick. Yeah, I don't want to have Khepri draw too much attention to herself. This is where that cantrip message spell would be super handy. I mean, yeah. So once I've gotten everything, I'll just head back.
So it probably takes
If
you
I
an
walk past
hour.
him, I walk past him.
Yeah, he actually would probably try to avoid that. Like he wouldn't let you get super close before he tries to duck into a crowd.
All
And
right.
just send a message.
I will do a bit of a speed walk as much as I can, I guess, just to see. Amber butt fur handle whip.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Sure.
So he more or less has to obviously jog a bit to catch up with you,
Okay.
but he's, doing it from, you start moving quickly. So he's now about 80 feet behind. He feels safe enough to
Sure.
quicken his pace as well.
So here's what I will do. I'm moving back towards the inn that we stayed at.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna walk past the door and then turn down. I get like down an alleyway
At the hotel or somewhere else?
near the hotel. Like I will pass the door up and go like 1, maybe 2 alleyways down,
Mhm.
and then turn into that, and then just stand there.
So once again, he sharply turns the corner and then he's right face to face with you. Only now he has a hat and his tunic turned inside out.
You
Oh,
fool
excuse
no
me.
one.
And he walks around you.
No, I grab him. I'll grab him by the fucking scruff if I have to. You fool no one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well played, sir.
What color was his tunic on the other side?
It's essentially just a sort of brownish gray on the inside.
So it's,
It was dyed blue on the outside.
all right. So but now it's inside out, right? So
Right. So now it's brownish gray.
So it looks brownish gray, but it's on the official outside, it's
A light blue.
a blue, right? Yeah. I just like sort of shove him aside. You've swapped your tunic. It's blue on the inside. You fool no one. Who do you work for?
I apologize. I seem to have offended you in some way, but I am merely trying to get to my mother's house. If you'll please excuse me.
I will not.
And he turns and starts walking away.
I will grab him again.
Unless you're going to grapple him.
Yeah, I'll grab him.
So make me an athletics check.
Yeah, all right. Hold on. Oof.
He barely clumsily manages to avoid.
You know what? Fuck
Your
this. I'm gonna action
meaty
point this
fist.
shit. Action point the shit out of this. Come on. Ah! No. No. I will follow him.
So you follow him.
I
He-
assume I didn't grab him. I
Right.
don't know. It's a match
Right.
there. I don't know with the
So he managed to narrowly escape. At which point he just starts running, looking over his shoulder.
I'll pace after him.
And then he comes up to the first person he sees and says, "That Dragonborn, he's trying to assault me. I think he wants my purse." And he manages to get like a little crowd all looking kind of mean, staring at you.
I've
So
prepared for this.
they are blocking your passage now as he continues to run through the crowd.
Oh wait, no, I didn't prepare that spell. Unless it's higher level. Where's that? Oh, I didn't prepare. Fuck. I thought I prepared calm emotions. Whatever. He gets away.
One of the people comes up to you. Well, now there's a mob. So one of them comes up to you and says, "Why are your kind even coming into this city? You come here and you bring your crime and you bring your drugs, and now you're assaulting people here in this district? Shouldn't you be in the ghetto with the rest of your kind?"
I just stare him down because I probably am towering over him. Like, perhaps you don't know what you speak of. Leave.
Make me an intimidation check.
I'm proficient in that. Oh, what the fuck is happening? I'm gonna action point it. Damn. I hate rolling poorly on things I'm good at.
So yell at this crowd, and you can see this guy immediately loses all of his nerve and begins to back down and says, "Well, your kind shouldn't be here anyway."
I don't care. He just, as soon as he like fucking backs down, that's a victory. I start walking back to the inn.
Someone launches a piece of fruit at you and it splatters on a wall, missing you.
I just keep walking. I don't care.
So they do not have the nerve, however, to actually pursue you at this point. So you make it back to the hotel.
Which we were right in front of, basically. So I don't...
So technically, Mike and I did a whole bunch of like email exchange. So I don't really have to go through what he's up to right now because we already worked that out. So Aurelia, are you doing anything else?
I'm just what do I see this?
Yeah, you would have seen this altercation with Zarius on the street.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just watching to see anything stands out from watching the crowd and watching around our hotel.
Make me another perception check. So nothing. You see this crowd back down. Most of them seem as though some of them work in the area. Like there are stalls, mostly food stalls, on one side of the road periodically. So some of them go back to their stalls. Other people just sort of filter away. You lose track of the guy that Zarius was originally chasing. So you're not really sure where he went.
Okay.
Zarius, as you're coming back, you see Aurelia perched atop the circle of rooms in which you guys were staying.
Yeah, I'll just start unpacking some of the stuff. I can start making the ungent, or I suppose maybe I should wait. I don't know how long the ungent will last.
Me either. It would be a pretty dick move to be like, oh, when did you make that? Oh, it's
Yeah.
there.
Actually,
That stuff
I think
only
I have a
lasts
book
2
for
weeks.
this. I'm pretty sure I have a book for this. I'll have to look through it.
So Teal, as you do your research, eventually one of the guards starts making his way over to you. You could attempt to hide.
T-Hole will not attempt to hide.
Okay, so he comes up to you. You don't look like a student. Do you have permission to be here?
Do I need permission? Does Ashir Neferate need permission?
I don't know.
Historian legendary.
I do not know that name. So yes, you do. This is not a free library for all to use.
Do I have to pay to use it?
You have to become a member of the university to use it.
What's tuition?
There is no set tuition. You must get permission. You must be recommended to become a member.
Well, I'll be on my way then. My apologies. I was ignorant of this library's rules.
So he doesn't appear to be. He's probably not a student, as near as you can tell. He's probably more just basic brute, but fairly large guy. He does have a dagger on him. He doesn't have any other weapons. That's true. He would also have a small cudgel, but he crosses his arms and is tapping his foot, waiting for you to start moving towards the door.
And T-Hole will put down the book and start walking towards the door, unconcerned.
So he
It's
will
the
see
only
you
way to
out.
be.
And
Where-
he will not go directly back, like do a direct route to the hotel, but kind of walk around a little bit in case the guard is looking to follow or send some people to kind of check in.
He seems to just stop at the door and is satisfied when you walk out. So goes back inside and continues his rounds.
Okay.
But make
So
me a
that's-
perception check. So where are you going after this? You're just wandering the streets a bit.
Yeah. I'm going to wander the streets and maybe head to the market and feign interest in some local produce or something, and then eventually make my way back to the hotel.
Okay. So you do eventually make your way back to the hotel. You saw my
And-
my whisper teal.
No.
Resend it.
Oh. So when Tiho walks in, he presumably sees Zarius and Aurelia.
Right.
Well, you would not believe what I heard today at the library.
Will you follow?
Nobody cares.
Well, I learned that the tomb of Karfed is the oldest pyramid in the Warmlands. Also, there was a murder at the Dragonborn Embassy. One of those is very interesting.
Perhaps the one that was widely unknown.
I overheard some whispered conversation, of course, because of the library, and they were pretty rule following there, over indicating such.
Because of your stutter that you had in your sentence there. It started with, I overheard some cunts. Like, whoa, okay, all right. Yeah, sure.
It's an Australian library.
Is it known who?
I did not catch it, pick it up, but I am sure the rumors are flying fast. What are you making an ointment?
An unguent. In the right circumstance, this will help us see past illusions and even perhaps pierce the veil to see past the material to a degree. But it does require powerful magics.
I can see.
You will.
Perhaps it can. The gates of Sewell appear to be some sort of. The legends all center around some sort of portal. Perhaps your unguent can be rubbed on the portal and we can walk through it.
I believe the map that we were given, these instructions will help us through that.
Perhaps that is where, and he kind of lowers his voice. Fucking course, I can't remember the name of the damn city we're looking for.
Oh yeah. Doat Fajar.
Dohat Bajar. Perhaps it is the gate to Dohat Bajar. If we're lucky. Or we just go through something that causes us to teleport and you get sick too.
So Clave, as Ion Arif comes in not too long after that and says, "Hello, friends. How were your journeys throughout the market today?"
Eventful.
Good.
Were you followed?
Not that I have noticed.
Not that is not saying much.
I was not looking very hard.
I was certainly followed. He was. When I finally confronted him, he just denied everything.
Interesting. Perhaps we should change our disguises then. These are the same ones that that we had developed when we first came here. We may need to adopt new identities during our stay.
Yeah. Whoops. I totally forgot about Zarius's disguise.
Oops, my bad, Zarius. I had forgotten to put the mask on you.
That is probably the best fix for that.
Yeah. Like I said, I just got up and walked out. So
I'm extremely sorry. My mind has been going in a million different places. I'm a bit distracted. My apologies. That must have put you in grave danger.
It
no.
was careless.
It was. It will not happen again.
It might. I'm pretty tired.
Oh shit! I forgot again. Yes, he didn't seem bent on trying to assault. Just watch and observe. Keep an eye on me. As I said, I did attempt to confront him,
Interesting.
and he just denied and tried drawing a crowd.
You know, perhaps that is whoever is following you may have also been involved in passing Aurelia the map. Perhaps there are individuals hoping to shape our decisions.
Could have said it.
Also, I may know a bit about that map now that I think of it. I think I had heard a story of a sage. Somebody that is quite old in these deserts and very knowledgeable. It is a dangerous trek, but Zarius, as you had mentioned before, it seems to lead you to a different realm. I do not know which, but exactly. But this sage is said to be able to answer any question but the price is usually very great. The story that I am aware of, the person paid in blood. Many slaves that he had brought were destroyed in mere seconds. And anybody that looked upon his countenance also was destroyed. So you cannot see his form. But if he accepts your offering, he is able to grant the answer to a single question. It's perhaps worth looking into, but also only as a last resort. From what I understand, if you take even a few steps off of the path, which I think this map may lay out, then you are said to be lost forever.
Is in a literal or a figurative sense?
As in a literal sense. You will not return. No one will see you again. Nobody upon this world.
Well, that feels like it comes with the territory of following strange maps.
I think it would be wise if we do manage to take the Sky Castle. If we are able to overcome the forces there, we may be able to procure an offering sufficient to win the answer from this southern sage. And that may bring us closer to our goal.
The sage you speak of is commonly referred to in this area.
So you're aware of the southern sage?
Yes. No more necessarily than you know, only that it's some monstrous being that people cannot look at. And that they
Yes,
live
this
in
is what I've heard.
they live in some paradise of a type.
Yeah, I would say Zarius, what you would know is most of the tales follow kind of like a standard pattern of something bad happens to some hero. And at the beginning of his journey, he has to face like several dangerous situations to make his way to the sage, who will give him some information that will help him then rectify whatever the original situation is. But that usually then sets him off on some new quest.
Right.
Sometimes you hear that, like, you know, he has to take sacrifices to the sage to get the sage to help him out. Sometimes not.
Yes,
If
according
he-
to the information that I was given, not only is it very treacherous, but there are also beings that would cross, which we may have to make deals with to pay a toll of a sorts.
Could be that, or just fight them.
Based
Who
on
knows?
this, based on what I had heard, there is at least one creature of great power upon the path that, while fighting may be an option, it probably would be better if we had something to offer. It is very treacherous, and if we do come across, if we were to even pursue this, we would need to use our resources very carefully. But I am concerned that this information regarding this southern sage has come too easily. We were suddenly given a map to this place that is supposed to be very secretive, very difficult to get to, and then suddenly I come across my information regarding this southern sage, and the story that I had encountered is very similar to the map. And so now that gets me to think maybe there is something else. Perhaps it is the prophets, and her prophecies are aligning. But given that you are being followed, Zarius, and that Aurelia was given this map from a stranger, and now the sudden information that I had come to, it's just a bit too convenient.
I agree. It seems rather convenient, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily coincidence. It doesn't mean it's not a coincidence.
All the stories indicate that the hero finds the sage. They do not indicate how they started their finding.
The story that I came into gave very specific instructions on how to get to the Southern Sage. Without the map, it may have been a great struggle to find this, but now that we have this map, and based on the very detailed description that I was given, I'm certain we could potentially navigate this very dangerous undertaking if we were to actually go and seek out the Southern Sage.
I would just be curious what he would say, or it.
I would be more curious of what he would want.
I don't think we have anything of. Do we? What would we even ask? Assuming we paid passage.
That is a very important question, because from my understanding, he only answers one question a year, perhaps. And so if we were to make an offering that he could accept, we would need to choose carefully what we want to know. I suppose one thing that we could ask is where the wand of at Eternity's doorstep is. Another thing that we may wish to seek is the
city. Doat Bashar.
Yes, we could seek him out and get the information so that we can save ourselves. That is the thing that I would most like. I do not enjoy the idea that my death is only a year or so away.
It would seem prudent.
Some of us, it's not soon enough.
Aurelia, your nihilism cracks me up.
Who are you again?
Do I know you?
Stranger danger.
Uncle Leo?
I like that Aurelia climbed to the roof of the one-story building only to realize this isn't high enough to kill myself if I threw myself off.
Damn it, I'm too high of a level.
Damn, I'm still wearing that ring.
2d6 isn't gonna kill me.
I'd have to do this like 20 times.
So what
Well.
is the plan now? We have to assume we are being watched if Zarius was being followed.
Yes, well, supposedly it's interesting you're followed, Zarius, given the recent news at the embassy. I wonder if that has something to do with it.
News at the embassy.
Yes, there's been a murder
A murder.
Huh. Zarius, perhaps you can ask Kepri to get more information. I'm sure she would be able to get it much more quickly than us.
That is what I intended to do. Yes.
Maybe that your unrequited follower was keeping tabs on you, since you are a suspect, and in whatever investigation that's going underway. Given that we
What?
recent
It is a viable theory. Yeah, so I'll just think to Kepri, hey, can you go? Do you mind going to check? See if you can get any information.
Wait, are you suggesting, T-Hole, that someone is trying to set Zarius up to pin a murder on them?
A murder.
Here's the bard. There's the
Suddenly
bard.
Really is interested.
I mean, why wouldn't they? He's a clear contender for Sultan, and he's here in town.
And the top contender.
Top contender for Sultan. He's here in town. Recently had business at the embassy and wasn't necessarily invited. It's a perfect time to take out for one of the nobles or someone who doesn't wish for Zarius to take the throne, to get him out of the way.
Yes, but
Scandal.
it doesn't make any sense if they wanted our assistance in the plan that they are working to execute. It's strange.
Your problem is trusting the Empire and that they're telling you good information. I don't trust them as far as I could kick them, especially the halfling.
Well, no, I don't trust the Empire myself. I mean, I have many qualms with them. But still, I am basing my perspective not on the information that was provided by the ambassador, the council or whatever, that halfling, but more on the information provided by the seer and the dragonborn that were there. They are the ones that are leading the resistance and informed of all of these things. The Empire is acting more in at least my understanding is that they're operating in somewhat of a consultant situation, providing support and resources.
And information.
Yes, but still, it is the Dragonborn plan, not the Empire's. At least
That sounds like
was
something
my-
that sounds like something I would do. Yes, it's always their plan. Anyways,
So
It's
for
strange.
Kepri, make me a stealth check, a perception check, and an investigation check.
Stealth. What was the other one? Investigation.
And perception.
Yeah. All right. Pepper, doing good. If the blind CRS is around or whatever, she's likely to notice Capri. And I know that they can communicate with each other, so Kepri might even ask her, "Hey, what happened?"
Yeah, it'll take some time for him to or her to get over to the embassy, collect
That's fine.
information, and get back.
In the meantime, I'm just preparing things. Let's see here. What did I prepare that spell today? No, it didn't. So I did do one of the things today. So yeah, I will start inquiring with the group, basically indicating that I'm gonna cast this spell. I'll do it ritually since it is a ritual spell. That's nice. I don't have to use the spell slot. But I want to cast divination, which involves the burning of the incense and my other sacrificial offerings, which is the grains and such. But I can ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within the next 7 days. What do we want to know?
Perhaps we should know whether to go to the hatchery or to even accompany the resistance of your people. I mean, that seems to be the most prevalent point of discussion that we've had so far.
Yes. I would see if the Flying Castle will make an appearance at the Tomb of Karfet or the Tough Nut Oasis.
What is the limits of the question that you can ask for your divination magic?
Only that it would happen within the next 7 days.
Is it to ask of a particular outcome of a choice, or just in terms of what is going to happen?
Here, read for yourself.
Darius just shoves the scroll in Clave's face. Okay. Perhaps the best question would be, well, should we accompany the resistance to the Tefnut Oasis or go by ourselves to the true location of the hatchery? Or perhaps even better would be to ask what will happen in the battle for the hatchery? What will happen with the battle for the Sky Castle?
Probably specify whether or not we are present. And I would imagine it will be rather cryptic.
Well, any
Indicating
information.
we might win, we might lose.
It is your magic and your goddess or god that you're speaking with. So I would trust you to formulate the precise nature of the wording, but that is my thoughts in terms of what would be important to know revolving around this battle.
So yeah, you will need to formulate the question pretty exactly so that I can figure out how it answers it. I mean, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. Like if you were to ask, I would say you would at least know if you were to ask, should we accompany them? The gods who are answering this question don't necessarily see your deaths as a reason to not accompany them. So there could be some ambiguity in the answer, even if it's yes.
Especially
You know, so
my
right,
own
so
deity, who's a
right.
god of the
Right.
of the afterlife.
So you might want to ask, like, if we were to accompany them, would we encounter the Sky Castle? That is a little more easy for me to interpret,
Mhm.
and less likely that the gods are just screwing with you by giving you an ambiguous answer with unintended consequences.
Or maybe one way of saying it is something along the lines of well, no, never mind. I had it, but I lost it.
It was suggested that divination spells couldn't simply locate the castle, because they already
Right.
tried that.
But did they ask their god, "Hey, where's it at, man?"
Right. I mean, yeah, they didn't try like divine intervention level,
Yeah.
but they probably, they probably tried their 4th level spells.
Maybe something like, is it in the interest of the greater good if we accompany them to the oasis or go to the hatchery? Because I mean, that's the goal, right? We're
What is-
trying to do this for the greater good.
What is our goal? Is it to encounter the flying castle, the sky castle?
I mean, ultimately, the goal is to save the world. So it
But I
may
can't ask that question.
no, but in terms of what's going to get us closer to saving the world, which step will get us closer? I mean, that may involve sending us to Tefnut Oasis, but then the hatchery gets destroyed because we're in the wrong place. I mean, the gods may be like, yeah, that's going to be for the greater good. Because I don't know, maybe baby Hitler's in that hatchery, baby Dragonborn Hitler.
That's not how this works.
There you go. Just ask, is baby Dragonborn Hitler in this hatchery?
Who's
Should
Hitler?
we destroy all the hatchlings ourselves to save the world?
Were the giants right all along?
We will have the final solution.
Right.
Um,
I mean, some things to consider just from your perspective. It's not entirely clear that the giants and the demons are actually tied to the wand. The Empire has ties to both. Last you heard, the wand was probably in the Brightlands, because that's where Mordenkainen apparently hid out.
mhm. Which is further
Right.
along.
Further to the west. It's not clear
Yeah.
that place is, the demons are searching for something in the south. You don't know what that is. But that's the opposite side of the country from the Brightlands. Still, things maybe it's not in the Brightlands anymore. Maybe it was moved. So there's a lot you still don't know about what's going on.
Thought your spell was supposed to make things less complicated.
It might, if you ask the right question.
um,
Perhaps you can ask. Perhaps you can ask about the nature of the magic, or the nature of the storm giant, and how they managed to have Dragonborn on their side, fighting other Dragonborn, and to ascertain the nature behind the Sky Castle. Like, where did they get it? How do they control its magic?
That would be a different spell. This one specifically for a goal, event, or activity to occur within the next 7 days.
Well, I would just ask which location the Sky Castle is going to appear in. The Tomb of Karfet or the Tufnut Oasis.
If our
And
goal-
I would say,
if our goal
that
is-
would
Yeah.
actually run you into the problem of it's protected against divination. So you couldn't predict which one it's going to be at. You could predict things sort of ancillary to it, like, you know, if you were to ask, will there be a large contingent of giants at the Tefnut Oasis? The spell could probably figure that out.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Will there be an assault here? Or, yeah, will the Giants assault this location? Or will they assault this location?
I mean,
That sort of thing.
technically, Clave has all the same protections. If you were to try to divine things about Clave, you couldn't, because he has an amulet that protects him from it. So the castle has similar.
What we're
protection.
doing is we're divining what Eyes Arius and Aurelia and T-Hole are going to do. We don't give a fuck what Clay's doing, because he can't even be involved in our scrying
Right.
and or in our
Well,
divinations.
Interesting that you should say that, because actually just temporarily I've disconnected from my amulet of protection against detection.
Is that the Clave equivalent of like sleeping with the armor off?
Something like that.
Well, then, for just a moment, then I'm gonna activate my Eyes of the Grave just to make sure you're not undead.
Okay. What does that look like? What does Clave see as you do that?
My eyes glow, probably like a deep purple, maybe. It's not actually like a divination spell. It's like a fucking class feature. But I figure if you're like immune to divination, you're probably wouldn't ping on that too. So
Well, you would see that Clave is very much alive.
damn it, I got no reason to kill you.
Not yet.
Glance over and you see Aurelia is dead on the inside.
Yeah, that's plain. My insight can do that. All right. So let's I guess I'll cast it. Yeah, so yeah, that we'll do that. I'm gonna ask it whether there's going to be an assault by the giants and demons against the Tefnut Oasis, or against the tomb where the eggs are held.
See. And you hear in response, although only you hear this, Zarius, that your efforts would be wasted in either place. There will be no battle.
Okay. So that that took like 10 minutes. Ritual casting. But okay. I believe
So it's now pretty late in the day. So far, at least, Kepri has not come back, but it's not been that long. It's been an hour since she left.
okay. Yeah, so like after the spell, I'll just sort of just convey what was spoken to me.
Is that because perhaps this battle will happen for another week and a half? It's going to take some time for the forces to amount. I believe 3 days they're starting. Will they even get there within a week? I think that's what you said, the limit of the sight of your spell.
Yes, exactly. It might be worth trying this again once we are closer to the place. But we know we have a week.
Yes, and I think it would be wise to continue to get information, especially now that we know somebody has been murdered at the embassy.
Murdered. I don't think I don't remember using my divine intervention in a while, so
Has it been more than a week since the time when it succeeded?
oh yeah, we were traveling
Yeah.
like a motherfucker. Yeah. Yes, I mean I can do a divine intervention and just try and see if we can get something like I don't know, our ultimate goal, what's going to be the best place, which best direction to go, like where do we
I
want to
mean-
go, right?
Didn't your god just tell you that? Is neither the tomb of Karfet or the Tefnut Oasis that our efforts would be in vain. And maybe it is because the battle will be a week and a half out. Maybe in there will be a battle there. But maybe we ought to really pursue the gates of Sul. And this is the answer that will actually make a difference in the overall course of the conflict.
It sure
Yeah.
seems like there's somebody that really wants us to seek out the Southern Sage.
I keep forgetting we're like way far away from where the map is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on this new information,
It'd probably take
I-
more than a week just to get there for most of these people.
It will take several days of them sailing upriver to get to Dharmashah, which is probably where they'll disembark. But like 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
See, I like the idea of going to the gates of Sul. Given
But then
this,
what
because
would we have to offer?
Your body's to science. Oh, look at your inventory. See what you got.
I'm told that the Southern Sage is also willing to trade information. If we are aware of something that he is not, then he may accept that as payment, but I doubt there is anything that we could say that he may not already know.
He may not, the Southern Sage may not be abreast of the true nature of the conflicts and the things that we have encountered in the manor. He may not be aware. He may be aware that there are demons and whatnot, but he may not have all the pieces. We may be able to trade our stories.
I would feel more comfortable coming in with a little more than that to offer. Let's call that plan B.
It's fair.
Well, it is getting late. Perhaps it's time to retire.
I don't know what information you could trade to the sage. Just the stories would indicate that literally knows everything that is spoken and that all that could be seen.
I saw
Surely-
that the Southern Sage knows everything that is spoken in the South.
Perhaps.
Perhaps
Yes.
I am misremembering this.
Yes.
For a long time, this was my only world. Yes, very much. It could be just be the South.
And that would make sense if he had the Southern Sage has some sort of power over this land. Or is this land in some way.
There being a southern sage would only mean that there's like an eastern sage, western sage, and a northern sage too. Like, just logically. But we got to seek those other guys out.
I mean, maybe there's a West Virginia, but then there's just Virginia.
We'll have to dwell on what we could offer. I am sure that it sounds like if we had absolutely nothing, the path to the sage itself is perilous, and there are many that are willing to haggle. I'm sure that one of them could also offer something that would be of interest that we could then in turn offer to the Southern Sage. If
So we're gonna turn a
push came to
paperclip
shove.
into a house.
we're gonna MacGyver this.
Just trying to constantly trade upwards.
It's the bigger and sorry quest. Anyways. Have you heard from Kepri?
No.
No, not yet.
We should sleep with one eye open. Maybe set up a watch tonight. in case someone tries to come in the middle of the night to have an unwelcome surprise.
If we are taking watches, I will volunteer for the last watch.
Are you all
And I
planning
for-
on staying in the same room? So you have 4 separate rooms at the moment.
Is the room big enough for everyone to fit in the same room? Or are they
It's
rooms-
reasonably big. Like the bed's not designed for 4 people. But the room is definitely big enough that 4 people could stretch out in it.
I mean, I don't know that this is necessary to set up a watch. These people, they seem to be following us, but they don't seem to have any desire to harm us, at least not now. I don't see them necessarily changing that. I could be wrong, but
If there's been a
If-
murder
there has been a murder, but
and Zarius or us are suspects, they may try to strike quietly.
we don't know that we are suspects.
But we don't know that we're not suspects.
Yes, but why
Perhaps.
assume?
Perhaps we wait here for Kepri to return.
Well, if Capri doesn't return soon, then I am going to go and doze off. If we are going to sleep together, then you can come and get me.
Very well. I will come calling at midnight.
So you all sit staring at the window, waiting to hear the nearly silent fluttering of Kepri's wings.
Might
Is
get some
Aeon Reef going off to sleep?
Yeah, if it gets to like 9, 10 o'clock at night, yeah, Aeon's
Yeah.
gonna go to his room and sleep.
So about an hour after Aeon wanders off to go take a nap, Kepri flies back in and lands on Zarius' shoulder. And she then immediately begins telepathically contacting Zarius because that's what she normally does. Are you going to tell them everything, or should we do this by whisper?
I probably gonna convey everything, I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, I randomly hold information back sometimes, so but yeah, no, I'll just this seems like something that would be worth sharing. I'll let you guys know if it doesn't happen.
Okay, well, so what Kepri managed to learn, Kepri, she didn't hear your suggestion that she could talk to the blind seeress before she left. So she was, reluctant to actually speak with anyone because she didn't want to then get caught. So it was a little bit more of a passive hiding and flying around and listening in on people than her being able to directly ask questions. She also didn't speak to the blind seeress because the blind seeress is dead.
Okay.
And it is known among the people there, although she didn't quite figure out how they knew this, that the blind seeress snuck out at night to go to the ghetto where she met with you guys And at some point after she left to meet with you, she was murdered in the streets.
See.
Now, she had a guard with her, and nobody knows where that guard is. His body was not found with her. So they don't presume, however, because why would they, that the guard murdered her. So the thinking is that it was probably you guys, maybe the guard. Maybe the guard simply fled after killing her. But they can't think of any real motive. But they also don't really know why she was going to meet with you or what your motives would be.
How'd they know that she was going to meet us?
Kepri didn't figure that out. I mean, presumably she would have told someone if she had any fear for her safety other than just the guard. But they're in a position where they don't necessarily have any evidence against you. You're just the one that they have a little bit less faith in. You as a group, not necessarily any one of you. Kepri doesn't know whether or not they tried to like speak with Dead or anything like that to get information out of her corpse.
Okay. But it's late now.
Yeah, it's late now.
Is T-Hole still in the room?
Yeah, T-Hole would be up. He'd have a hard time sleeping.
He
until-
would also, she would also know that she was stabbed to death.
Okay.
So for what it's worth,
Bias.
she was killed. Presumably a sword.
Okay. I
And,
would.
and you would know, by the way, that her guard had a glaive, not a sword.
Okay. Right. Okay. Illusory. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I imagine you're probably right if I'm conveying this information to you. I would be curious. So, could you tell who you learned this information from originally?
I did not. I simply overheard some conversation while I was nose deep in a book about monuments and the Wormlands.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know them. You could gather just from their general style of dress and demeanor and age that they were probably students.
They were students, probably. So it is as I was afraid of, that we are, at least as a group, thought suspects. This poor girl.
Wait, did anyone wake up Clave?
Not T-Hole
Okay.
didn't. Not yet.
Okay.
I was just conveying the information, so then whatever happens.
But
yeah.
But T-Hole can go wake Clave up and be like, they found who got murdered. And then let him know. Fill him in on the details.
That's concerning.
Yes. all the better that we set a watch for tonight, since they know we are here in this area. Probably be better to condense into a single room.
I agree.
Even if they don't have strong evidence to or a motive yet, they may attempt to apprehend anyway, so that they can question and discern a motive.
Very well. Let's all condense into whichever room is most comfortable and defensible.
I mean, the rooms are all pretty much identical. So they're definitely not very well defensible. I mean, the doors are not super sturdy. If somebody wanted to kick them in, they could easily kick them in. There are windows on every wall that people could presumably try to shoot through. You know, you could prop things up to cover the windows and block the door.
I could cast Mirage Arcane and just
Right.
affect this
Change-
room and make all
Or
of
the whole city.
or the whole city.
The series of walls.
Seal every window and door.
City's on lockdown.
Or you could cast Tiny Hut,
Oh yeah, that makes more
make-
sense.
make a tiny hut inside the room.
Well, I did it last time, Aurelia. You do it this time.
What, tiny hut?
You can cast it, right?
Yeah. All right.
Really, a cast tiny black hut. It's a little too cold inside for all of you.
Especially the old man who's used to living in the desert. I got my feet sticking out.
Inside the tiny hut, it's cold and damp, and drizzle is constantly falling.
Yeah, I'll take last watch.
I always take last watch.
Not this time.
I'm gonna be up, so I don't know what else to tell you.
Teal will take first. He was up anyway.
If you
So how,
want,
how many watches are we setting?
if you want
We got
Zarius
first
to
and
be
last.
even more cantankerous than he usually is, then you interrupt his sleep.
Yeah. Well, then why don't you just go first?
No, because I wake up early. I'm gonna wake up early anyways, because I'm an old man. I wake up at the fucking ass crack at dawn. This is natural. This is what I do.
Okay. I'll take the one right before you then.
So four
Perfect.
watches then?
Yep.
To really taking the second watch?
I have to stay inside the hut, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I can do a watch inside the hut, I guess.
I mean, we can see out, so
Okay.
nobody has to leave the hut.
Right. They can see out if Aurelia lets them.
um, you know, mainly, I think we're just watching for making sure nobody like comes in and dispels fucking the hut. Dispel magic, very accessible spell.
So the night actually passes. Nobody seems to try to break into the room.
I will say that Clave doesn't wake Darius up.
What do you mean?
Clave never wakes Darius up for his watch.
I get up. It doesn't matter. That sun rises, I'm up.
Okay.
So you don't have to wake me up. I'm just up.
Okay. Well, when you wake up, Clave's gone.
Okay. You leave before your watch is over? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Can I revise? People break in.
Well, if I'd have known that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Some part of me does think it's what if Clave like came back later on and everybody was dead, murdered in their sleep. So Zarius, you wake up with the sunrise and discover that Clave is not there. Perhaps he's invisible. He's an illusionist. You never know.
Whatever, I don't care. We're alive. Everybody else is breathing. We're cool.
Yes.
Oh, Darius really has no love for Clave.
What has Clave done? But actively try and annoy Zarius.
Lots
And
of
Zarius
mirage.
has kept him alive.
Clave has kept Darius alive too. Just in different, less direct ways.
We still have that body.
Yes. It wasn't until Zarius stepped in that you guys struggled with that Demi Lich.
Yeah.
All you had to do was blind it, Such a great spell. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna always have that prepared from now on.
Well, glad nobody tried to accost us last night. Perhaps it was a little premature, but better safe than sorry. Where's Clave?
Unknown.
I don't know. Is it kind of suspicious that the seer is murdered and now Clave's missing?
A murder.
Murder, you say?
Maybe the perfect time to pin it on Clave.
Well, I'm sure he is I'm sure he's taking care of himself. Hopefully he at least grabs some good tea from downstairs. This room tea is dreadful.
Well, I didn't have a proper stove.
Well, this begs the now that we've learned this, if we leave, we will be doubly guilty in their eyes. Or if we stay, we'll have to defend ourselves. And also probably we'll have to artfully defend ourselves and either tell the truth or partial truths about the nature of what the seer wanted.
We aren't always very good at that.
No, we're not. That's not our strong suit.
We are not tactful politicians.
It might be easier if we, well, if we could find something, if we could figure out a good thing to offer those southern seer or the southern sage, then our best bet might just be to leave and continue down that path, because they presumably wouldn't know that we're going there. But that might hurt your chances with sultanship.
I'm not here for the sultanship. I'm here for my people.
I mean, you would still normally expect, even if they suspect you of murder, they're going to require some evidence. And there are people who know that, like, when you left the meeting, she was still alive. Now, maybe you could have then, like, tracked her down and killed her after that, but, like, you don't necessarily know. According to Kepri, they don't really have evidence one way or another. And the fact that the guard is missing is suspicious. Although he could also be dead, who knows? So it's not exactly clear. If they actively were trying to arrest you, they probably would have, like, looked around for you and come to the hotel. Assuming they were the ones following you, they definitely would have done that.
We could go there and offer assistance.
Right, and that they might not be too keen to accept because you're a suspect. But, you know, like, there are still those questions of, did they try to get her dead? Have they tried to bring her back?
Right.
They kidnapped
Because,
Clave.
yeah.
Things I can do very easily.
Yeah, I mean, Sortea Khan also can presumably bring people back. Now, maybe she's saving her diamonds for someone important, because
Right.
we know clerics do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, she could be carrying around the seer for a while.
Right? She may actually lack the diamonds. Who knows? They're not so common that, like, every cleric has a stash of them on them.
Or she's not a good guy.
Right. Or, you know, yeah, she pretended to try to raise her and it didn't. She then pretended to fail at it, because I do have rules for raising people that do allow for the possibility of failure. Or maybe the seer just didn't want to come back. Maybe it's too nice wherever she is.
Don't blame her.
She could see.
You can see again.
She sees what she's missing.
I mean, we could go back to that tavern or whatever and see if anybody knows anything, but I doubt it.
Feel like we shouldn't do that without them knowing that we are doing that.
They're gonna know anyway. They're following every move we make.
Gotta prepare spells very quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I have definitely given you a situation where, and I realize that this is always a problem. I have given you a lot of open-ended options, because finding the wand is a different task than getting rid of the giants, which is a different task than finding the lost city of Doat Pajar, and now clearing your names potentially of this murder.
I mean, it's the Empire. If they want us accused of murder, we're accused of murder. There is no clearing our names.
Right. It's not even. It's no longer accused. If they want, if we did the murder, then we did the murder. Right.
So
If they said we did the murder, then we did it.
Just like the whole thing with the wand. So it's just the same shit.
Oh, their
Right.
influence down here isn't quite so strong.
Yeah, give them time.
That may be for now. I was a little, it made me uncomfortable how quickly, or rather how tightly, the ambassador and the consul worked. So much that they were speaking, the consul was speaking, they were communicating in a dialect of this area underneath. You know, if the political situation plays out here, the Empire will and the ambassador or whoever the ambassador backs becomes in charge, then I think they're going to have a pretty strong sway down here. Stronger than they do now, anyway, and they have had historically.
So we should, if we have the ability to determine who gets the crown, we should be careful.
Yes, shouldn't be anyone friendly to the Empire.
What if it's never found?
Then they will likely argue until a suitable replacement is found.
I mean, you would probably know, assuming there are enough noble families, like unless somebody has overwhelming power, your people tend to be pretty aggressive. It probably after the common giant threat is gone, if there are multiple people vying for it, there will either be outright open wars for somebody to claim the throne, or, you know, sneaky guerrilla wars and assassinations as people try to jockey for the throne.
Does that happen?
Like I said, they'll squabble. Unfortunately, some of the nobles of my people aren't too dissimilar to those of the Empire.
And at that point, anybody who has imperial aid probably will have an upper hand, especially if the Empire is not wasting troops fighting the giants and mostly just advising. Though then again, the Empire has never been a great fan of non-created races. So odd that they would involve themselves in these sorts of politics anyway. I just imagine T-Hall's waiting by the door for Clave to come back with coffee or tea. Got his cup ready.
He's sitting in like the chair with his coffee, just waiting for the "so where have you been" moment.
Sitting in his chair, Indian style, without pants. Well, actually, this is probably a good time to end it because I'm going to get up in the morning anyway. You guys can think about what you want to do with your day. Started with planning, we'll end with more planning.
You know, plans are useless, but planning is essential.
Right.
Right. It's like it's kind of like Skyrim. Like We got a bunch of quests. How do we most efficiently move throughout the map to get them all in one go without having to come
I would
back?
also say like some of the things you might be able to find, like you probably would find better information on what's going on with the war if you were actually in the Warmlands and asking people there. As you're getting, like, it takes a week for information to get this far north to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like, one
I
of the
mean, we
things you
honestly
could
should just
do
go.
is, you could independently try to find this flying castle. And there, people do cite it occasionally. You might be able to figure things out a little better if you were a little bit closer to it.
I am all
made it.
for taking a flying castle and making that our base of operations. I mean, imagine the satisfaction that we would get being able to just drop boulders on people.
I think that's a giant thing. But either way, I mean, the Empire can technically drop boulders on people. They're just fucking meteors. So
I mean, what's the difference between a meteor and a flaming boulder? Really?
I'm just a little curious. Like, how fast does this thing move? Can we spot a meteor coming at us and move out of the way before it hits us? That's what I want to know. More importantly,
right, you have seen these meteors move. They're not like instantaneous. Like, they travel at some limited rate of speed. It may be like 100 miles an hour, but they're thousands of miles away. So presumably if it's like the spell, they have to target it when they cast it.
right?
So they can't just move it because their target has moved. And cities are easy to hit basically, but
A
even
moving one.
armies, right? An encamped army might even be able to get out of the way if they have enough warning.
If it remains unscryable, even after if we can take over.
Yeah, it's only 4 of us against the whole castle, so I'm sure we got pretty good odds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We got great odds.
Never tell me the odds. Thanks for running, Kurt. It was
No
fun.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be really bad is if they do the null magic zone on the castle. This is just fucking fall.
That is what happened to a different flying castle that you encountered.
Yeah, so it may not be a great idea.
But wasn't that flying castle chained to the ground?
Yes.
No, that was the you're thinking of the prison.
No.
Starlock Prison was actually chained. It was a flying boulder essentially chained to the ground. You didn't see chains on the castle where Lucia Rossi got his belt of dexterity.
Okay. Why am I thinking that then? Well, was it a mobile flying castle or was it just a stationary flying castle?
I mean, hard to say. You don't know. Just from the rubble, you don't necessarily know. It may. So the folklore is that basically cloud giants or storm giants just build these things into clouds, and they can't necessarily steer them. They just float above the sky, in the sky above. Sometimes you hear stories about ones that they can actually steer, in which case they're not super quick. It's not like being even on a boat, but you
Like
can
a
still
blimp.
get to where you want to go. Right.
Sky blimp, stone sky blimp. I think that would be super cool to have a sky castle.
So, but yeah, another thing that you may be interested in trying to figure out is why doesn't the Empire just put a null magic zone over the whole area and try to knock it out of the sky? I mean, maybe they'll miss, but presumably these charges come back to that chair. they can try again.
Things to think about. Yeah, and by the way, Clave isn't coming back anytime soon. FYI, like he's not coming back with the coffee.
But
He's
it's
not
gonna be
leaving.
cold.
He's not leaving the game.
No, I'm not leaving the game. But you guys, if you think that, oh, just wait an hour, he'll be here. No.
Oh, that's our plan. We're waiting on Clave.
Either that or Clave's going, cast Windwalk. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right,
Later,
take it
everyone.
easy.